She boarded last. Crutches. Seat 9C. Nobody looked at her twice. 38,000 feet later, both pilots were down. 231 people had no one. Except the quiet woman in 9C who stood up without being asked. She took the controls. She gave her call sign. Iron wing. And the F-16 pilot 6 feet off her wing, stopped breathing. He watched Iron Wing die 7 years ago. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. On, redacted, at 14:19 Universal Time Coordinated, American Airlines Flight 2247 declared a full emergency. Both flight crew incapacitated. 231 passengers aboard. The aircraft was brought to safe landing by an unscheduled civilian passenger. Passenger identity, redacted by request, Callsign used during Operation Iron Wing. Further details, see attached. Narration. This is the attached. This is what actually happened. This is the part they almost did not declassify. 2 hours earlier. A boarding gate. The last flight of the day. A woman walks down the jet bridge on crutches. Left leg. She moves slowly but not weakly. She moves like someone who has learned exactly how to move, not fighting it, just working with it. She is the last to board. Seat 9C. Aisle seat. She puts her bag up. She sits down. She closes her eyes. Nobody looks at her twice. She prefers it that way. The report exists. The call sign is real. The woman, officially, does not exist. This is her story anyway. Studio microphone witness statement name, Marco Reyes, flight attendant recorded, 3 days post-incident, she was the last to board. Crutches. Left leg. She moved like someone who had learned to move that way, not struggling, just adapted. I offered to help with her bag. She said, "I've got it," in a way that really meant it. I believed her right away. I don't know why. I just did. There was something about her. She was very quiet. Very still. Like someone carrying something heavy, not in the bag, somewhere else. What Marco did not know, what nobody on that plane knew, was that the bag she carried held her father's watch. It was the only thing she took from his house. He had worn it every single day for 40 years. It was a plain watch. Nothing special. Black strap. Old face. But he had been wearing it the day she called him from the hospital, 7 years ago, to tell him about her leg. She had cried on that call. She had not cried in front of anyone else. Not the doctors. Not the other pilots. Not her commanding officer. Only her father. He had been quiet for a long time on that call. Then he said, "You are alive. That is all that matters. You are alive." She did not believe him then. She was starting to. Then he died. Heart attack. Fast. No warning. She got the call on a Tuesday morning while she was making coffee. And now she was on a plane going home to nothing. With his watch in her bag. And crutches under her arms. And a window seat she gave away because she did not want to look at the sky. The sky had always taken things from her. She did not want to look at it today. Studio microphone witness statement name, Richard Calloway, seat 9B recorded, 3 days post-incident. I'll be honest. When she sat down, I moved my arm off the shared armrest. I pulled it back to my side. I don't know exactly why I did that. She had crutches and she looked, I don't know, I just moved it. It was a small thing. A stupid small thing. I've thought about it every single day since then. Every day. Narration. Leila noticed. She always notices. She said nothing. She put her crutches in the overhead bin, carefully, quietly, efficiently, and sat down. She did not ask Richard for help. She did not look at him. She pulled out her father's watch from the front pocket of her bag. She held it in both hands. She turned it over once. She closed her eyes. The plane began to move. Captain Leila Hassan. Age 34. F-16 Fighting Falcon. 1,247 combat flight hours. Deployments, redacted. Commendations, Distinguished Flying Cross. Air Force Cross, full citation classified. Incident, redacted/date, aircraft sustained critical damage during, redacted, mission over hostile airspace. Pilot maintained full aircraft control and executed successful ejection despite, redacted, injury. Left leg, amputated below the knee. Recovery, redacted, facility. Post-recovery, return to limited flight duty, redacted, months after injury. Passed all flight evaluations. Full combat clearance reinstated. Note from commanding officer, Captain, redacted, Iron Wing came back. Of course she did. She always comes back. Most pilots, good pilots, would have stopped after what happened. She asked for her aircraft back. We gave it to her. She flew it better than before. The call sign was given after her return. Iron Wing, because one wing was damaged and she still flew. That is the only way to explain her. Medical discharge date, redacted, 3 years ago. Reason for discharge, redacted. Current civilian status, works at a veterans coffee shop. Volunteers teaching children to code. No public profile. No social media. Tells no one about any of this. Narration. She came back. After the hospital. After the surgery. After the months of learning to walk again. After the pain that never fully left. She came back. Until she didn't. Medical discharge, 3 years ago. She handed in her flight gear. She walked out of the base on her crutches. She did not look back at the runway. The leg was not the reason she left. The leg was never the reason. The reason is still classified. Now she makes coffee for veterans who come in every morning. She teaches 8-year-olds how to write their first line of code. She lives in a small apartment. She does not own a television. She reads at night. She sleeps badly. And today she had gone to bury her father. And now she was on a plane going home. With his watch. And no plans to be anything other than invisible. She had flown 1,247 hours in an F-16. She had not been in a cockpit in 3 years. She was holding her dead father's watch and trying not to look at the sky. The sky had other plans. Captain's voice, normal. First Officer Mike, normal. Flight is at 38,000 feet. On schedule. No issues. Then. Captain, Mike, I can't, my head. Sound of body slumping against the seat. First Officer, Captain. Captain. Alarm begins. Single steady tone. First Officer, on radio, Denver Center, AA, 2247, medical emergency, Captain is down, I have the aircraft. First Officer's breathing begins to change. Becomes tight. Labored. First Officer, I can't, my throat, the food, I can't breathe. Sound of second body. The First Officer slumps. Alarms increase. Then, silence from the cockpit. No voices. Only alarms. The passengers heard nothing yet. The cabin was normal. Movies playing. A child laughing somewhere near the back. The drink cart still moving. But in seat 9C, Leila's eyes opened. She had not been asleep. She had been holding her father's watch and listening to the sounds of the aircraft the way some people listen to music, not thinking about it, just letting it exist around her. She knew every sound a plane makes in normal flight. She knew the difference between the sounds. The alarm that started, she knew that one too. She put the watch carefully into her bag. Zipped it closed. She looked at the seat pocket in front of her. She looked at the cockpit door. She looked at the seat pocket again. She was deciding something. She decided. I came out of the cockpit and I was not okay. I'm trained for emergencies, but when you open that door and both of them are down, both of them, your training and your body have a fight for a second. I walked to the intercom. I picked it up. My voice came out too high. I knew it and I could not fix it. I said, "Is there anyone on board with flight experience? This is an emergency. Please come forward immediately." And then, before I even put the intercom down, the woman from 9C was already standing. She did not raise her hand. She did not shout. She did not run. She just stood up. Steadied herself against the seat. And looked at the cockpit door. And I felt better. I cannot explain that properly. I just felt better the moment she stood up. Like, okay. Okay. There is a direction now. She stood up without her crutches. Just stood. She put one hand on the top of the seat to steady herself for 1 second. Then she took it away. She looked at the cockpit door. I don't know why I said what I said next. I said, "And I am not proud of this," I said, "Do you actually know how to fly a plane?" She didn't look at me. She just said, "Enough." And then she walked to the cockpit. Not fast. Not slow. Not scared. Like she was walking to a meeting. Like this was just something that needed to be done and she was the one to do it. I watched her go. I didn't say anything else. I don't know what I would have said anyway. She did not take her crutches. She walked the aisle on her prosthetic leg, steady, even, precise. Some passengers looked up. Some did not. A few started to understand that something was wrong. A woman near the back grabbed her husband's arm. Leila reached the cockpit door. She knocked once. No answer. She opened it. Cockpit door opens. 4.3 seconds of silence. Sound of the captain being checked, 2 seconds. Then left alone. He is breathing. He is alive. But he cannot fly. Sound of seat adjustment. The captain's seat moved back. New weight in the left seat. Hands on the controls. Instruments checked, fast, practiced, automatic. Then, a calm female voice. Leila, Denver Center, this is AA 2247. Full crew incapacitation. I have the aircraft. Requesting immediate vectors, ice storm building on current heading, terrain on both sides below, fuel state 48 minutes remaining. I need options. Now. Diane, AA 2247, identify yourself please. Leila, passenger. Military flight background. I have the aircraft. Diane, I need those vectors. Diane Walsh stops. Her hand pauses over her keyboard. She used her name. Diane, AA 2247, how do you know my name? Leila, because I have talked to you before. Different aircraft. Different situation. A long time ago. Can we please focus right now? Diane stares at her screen. Something is moving in the back of her mind, something she cannot reach yet. Diane, copy AA 2247. Turning you left heading 270. Descend to flight level 320. Talk to me. What is your exact fuel state and what is your flight experience? Leila, fuel 48 minutes. Experience, enough. Give me the terrain picture. Diane Walsh had worked Denver Center for 27 years. She had handled 4 emergency landings. She had talked to panicked pilots, sick pilots, student pilots in situations they were not ready for. She had heard many voices on the emergency frequency. She had never heard a voice that calm. And she had never, not once in 27 years, heard a stranger on the radio use her first name. Something about the voice was familiar. She could not place it yet. She turned to the terrain picture and started talking. Diane had worked Denver Center for 27 years. Nobody had ever used her name on an emergency frequency. She didn't know yet why it felt familiar. She would know soon. 9 minutes after Leila took the controls, 2 shapes appeared off the wings. Dark gray. Fast. Low. F-16 Fighting Falcons. They came out of the clouds like they had been waiting there. One off the left wing. One off the right. They matched the speed of the commercial jet exactly, slowing down from something much faster to stay beside it. Military precision. In seat 10A, an 8-year-old boy named Samuel Park pressed his face against the window. His eyes went wide. He had a toy F-16 in his hand. He had been making quiet jet sounds with it since takeoff. His mother had her eyes closed and was gripping the armrest. Samuel looked at the real F-16 outside his window and he was not scared at all. Viper 1, AA-2247, Viper flight. We have visual on you. State your full situation. Leila, Viper flight, AA-2247. 2 crew incapacitated, captain stroke, first officer allergic reaction, both unconscious. 231 passengers. Ice storm building on current heading, I cannot enter it with this aircraft at this weight. Terrain on both sides below the storm, no safe diversion route under it. Fuel 41 minutes remaining. I need an escort to Denver on the cleaner air route. There is a gap in the storm, 22 miles wide, I need to go through it in the next 14 minutes before it closes. Viper 1, copy all. We will escort you through. Good work so far. What is your exact flight background? Leila, F-16. 1,200 hours. A pause on Viper 1's end. Short. But there. Viper 1, F-16, were you active duty or reserve? Leila, active. Medical discharge. 3 years ago. Another pause. Longer this time. Something has changed in his voice but it is not clear what yet. Viper 1, copy that. AA-2247, for our records, standard procedure, can you confirm your call sign? Leila's hands were on the yoke. Her father's watch was in the bag behind the captain's seat. 231 people were breathing behind the cockpit door. Outside the left window, 6 feet away, a gray F-16 kept perfect pace with her. A name. He was asking for a name. A name she had not used in 3 years. A name she thought she had put away with her flight gear and her uniform and everything else she left on that base. She looked at the horizon. She closed her eyes. 1 second. She opened them. Leila, Iron Wing. 11 seconds of silence. In the Viper 1 cockpit, nothing. No response. No movement. Viper 1 CO pilot, Jake. Jake, you okay? Viper 1, pull up beside them. Get me a visual on the cockpit window. Now. Viper 1 CO pilot, Jake, what's happening? Viper 1, pull up beside them. Sound of aircraft maneuvering. The F-16 moves closer to the commercial jet. Viper 1's pilot looks across the gap at the cockpit window of AA-2247. A long silence. Viper 1, barely audible, voice completely changed, almost broken, oh God. Oh God, it's her. Viper 1 CO pilot, who? Jake, Who is that? Viper 1 does not answer his co-pilot. He keys the main radio. His voice is breaking at the edge of every word. Viper 1, Iron Wing. This is Viper 1. This is Jake Torres. We were told, Hassan, we were told you didn't, after the mission, they told us you didn't make it. They told us. He stops. End black box segment. Narration. Jake Torres. Her wingman. The pilot who flew 6 feet off her left wing every single mission for 2 years. He was in the jet next to hers the day the missile hit. He saw the smoke. He saw her aircraft go into an uncontrolled descent. He called her name on the radio 14 times. He got no answer. He stayed over the crash site, circling, until his fuel warning light came on. Then he circled some more. He declared a fuel emergency himself rather than leave. They ordered him back 3 times. He left only when he had no choice. He was told she did not survive. He believed them. He had no reason not to believe them. For 7 years he believed them. He never talked about that day. He still flew. He still did his job. He was a good pilot, a very good pilot, but the people who knew him well said that something in him never came back from that mission. Something stayed over that crash site. Still circling. And now here she was. Alive. In a commercial jet cockpit. 6 feet from his left wing. Leila on radio. 7 years of silence, in one transmission. Her voice, for the very first time, is not completely flat. Leila, I know what they told you, Jake. I'm sorry. I couldn't, it is complicated. I can explain it all later. But I am here right now. And I need you to be my wingman one more time. Can you do that? Complete silence, 8 seconds. Sound of Jake Torres, breathing, controlling himself, audibly, like watching someone put something broken carefully back into place. Then. Viper 1, on your left wing. Always on your left wing. Same as always. Music CUE, single note, hold. I could see the fighter jet outside my window. It was an F-16. I have one just like it, mine is a toy though. My mom had her eyes closed and she was holding my hand really hard. But I wasn't scared. Because the F-16 was right there outside the window. Right there. And it was not leaving. It just stayed there flying next to us. I know about F-16s. They are very fast, they can go very very fast, but this one slowed down and stayed right next to us. It didn't leave. If the F-16 was not leaving then everything was going to be okay. I knew that for sure. When I heard the call sign come over the frequency, Iron Wing, I went completely cold. Not scared. Cold. Like something reaching back in time and touching you. 7 years ago I was on duty during a classified military extraction operation. I cannot say where. A pilot went down. F-16. I worked that frequency for 4 hours. I kept calling. I kept trying to get a response. The call sign on that downed aircraft was Iron Wing. I never got an answer. After 4 hours they told me to stop trying. I stopped. I assumed the worst. Everyone did. I went home that night and I sat in my car in my driveway for a long time. And then 7 years later, that same call sign. On my screen. AA 2247. A commercial flight in an emergency. A woman on crutches in seat 9C who knew my name. I stood up from my chair. I have never stood up during an operation in 27 years. I just stood up. And I said out loud, to no one in the room, I said, "You made it." She made it. She was alive the whole time. She made it. 3 people recognized that call sign. Jake Torres, who watched her go down. Diane Walsh, who worked her frequency for 4 hours. And Iron Wing herself, who had spent 7 years trying to forget it. None of them expected to hear it again. Least of all here. Narration. The ice storm did not care about any of this. It had been building for 6 hours. It stretched across 80 miles of sky. It had winds of 110 knots inside it. It had ice that could coat a wing and change everything about how that wing flew, and not in a good way. It sat directly ahead of AA-2247 like a wall. And it was moving. Slowly closing the only gap. Leila could see it on the weather radar. A green and yellow and orange shape. Getting bigger as they got closer. She had 14 minutes. Ice warning alarm begins, a different tone from before. Leila, Viper 1, I have ice warning activating. How is the gap looking right now? Jake, narrowing. You have maybe 12 minutes before it closes completely. After that there is no clean path. Leila, fuel state. Jake, not enough to wait for it to reopen. Leila, then we go now. Jake, Hassan, the turbulence inside the gap is going to be severe. With your... He stops himself. Leila, say it. Jake, with your leg, the rudder inputs, sustained hard rudder, it is going to be physically very hard. 3 seconds of silence. Leila, I know. Let's go. End black box segment. Narration. What Jake did not say, what he was trying to say and could not finish, was this. The prosthetic leg that Leila wore below the left knee caused real nerve pain during hard sustained rudder inputs. The kind of pain that starts small and builds fast. The kind that makes the edges of your vision go white. She had known this for years. Every pilot who flies with a prosthetic below the knee knows it. The rudder pedals demand pressure. The left leg carries most of it. And if you hit rough air that pushes the aircraft sideways, you have to push back hard and hold it. For as long as it takes. She had known this since the moment she sat down in the cockpit. She had already made her decision then. She did not tell Jake. She did not tell Marco. She did not tell anyone. Some calculations you make by yourself. You make them, and then you get to work. Marco walked the whole aisle checking every seatbelt. Very calm. Very steady. He did not look scared and that helped. When he got to my row he leaned down and said quietly, just to me, the pilot knows exactly what she is doing. I said, how do you know that? He said, because she told me to tell you that. I looked at the cockpit door. She was in there dealing with everything, the storm, the controls, the fuel, the radio, and she had still thought about what the people in the cabin needed to hear. She sent a message back. Through Marco. For us. I stopped being scared in that moment. I am not exaggerating. I just stopped. The aircraft enters the gap in the storm. Turbulence begins immediately. Structural stress indicators activate. The airframe is shaking. Ice warning, sustained. Anti-ice systems at maximum power. Leila's breathing is audible, controlled, slow, deliberate. Leila, Viper 1, I need you talking to me. Continuous. Do not stop. Jake, I'm here. Heading 275. You are in the gap right now. Gap is 22 miles wide total. You need to cross 14 miles of it. You are doing it. You are doing exactly the right thing. I am right here. Turbulence increases. The aircraft shakes hard, a long hard shudder. Ice on the wings, the anti-ice systems working hard. Jake, that is normal for this gap. You are fine. Keep going. 10 miles of gap remaining. Then, a spike. Massive. The aircraft drops and yaws hard to the right. Very hard. Sound of Leila pushing hard left rudder, the correction. An audible sharp breath from Leila, controlled immediately, but it is there. Jake, Hassan. Leila, I have it. Keep talking. Jake, I have you. 8 miles of gap. You need 6 more miles. You are doing it. I can see you. I am right on your left wing. Same distance. Same position. Same as always. I am not going anywhere. Keep going. Another hard turbulent spike. The aircraft shakes violently. In the cabin, a brief scream from someone near the back. Then silence. Hard left rudder again, held. Leila breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, controlled, fighting something she is not naming on this recording. Jake, 4 miles. Hassan, 4 miles. Almost through. You are almost through. The shaking continues. Then slowly, it begins to ease. Jake, 2 miles. 2 miles left. I can see clear air ahead. 2 miles. The shaking stops. Clean air. Smooth. Quiet. A long silence. Jake, you are through. Hassan, you are through the gap. You made it through. Leila says nothing for 4 seconds. Leila, fuel state. Jake, and there is something in his voice that is not standard military language, 24 minutes. Denver is 18 minutes out. You have it. You have more than enough. You have it. Narration. Her left leg was burning from the knee down. Not a soft pain. Not a background pain. Real fire. The kind her physical therapist had warned her about. The kind she had built a whole system to manage. Breathe through it, count through it, do not let it become the thing you are thinking about, because the moment it becomes the only thing you are thinking about, it wins. Her father's voice in her head, the same words he always said, pain means you are still here. Pain means it is not over. She breathed. She flew. In the cabin behind her, 231 people did not know that the woman flying their aircraft was fighting her own body at the same time she was fighting the storm. They did not know about the leg. They did not know about the pain. They did not know about the 7 years, or the crash, or the father's watch in the bag, or the wingman 6 feet off the left wing who thought she had been dead for all of it. They just knew the plane had stopped shaking. They just knew the air was smooth again. Marco walked the aisle one more time. He did not say anything. He did not need to. He looked at each row. He nodded. People nodded back. A woman near the middle was crying quietly. The man next to her put his arm around her without being asked. Samuel Park still had his face pressed against the window. The F-16 was still there. Still 6 feet from the wing. Still not leaving. He smiled and held up his toy F-16. Jake Torres flew 6 feet off her left wing. The same position. The same distance. The same as the day she went down. He had promised himself, if he ever got another chance, he would not leave her wing. He did not leave her wing. Diane, Iron Wing, you are fully clear of the storm system. Denver International Airport, runway 35L, it is the longest runway we have, winds are calm, visibility is perfect, full emergency services are standing by on the ground and waiting for you. Everything is ready. You have done the hard part. Come home, Iron Wing. Come home. Narration. Leila heard those words and said nothing for a moment. Come home. She had not had a home that felt like a home in a long time. Her apartment was a place she slept. Her father's house was the last place that had felt like something real, and now that was gone too. She was going home to an apartment with no food in it and a coffee shop that opened at 6 in the morning. But there was a runway ahead of her. Long straight. Lit up clean against the gray afternoon. That, she knew. That she understood. That she could do. Jake, I see the runway. You see it? Leila, I see it. Jake, it is a good runway. Long straight. Made for exactly this. Small silence. Jake, your dad would have. Leila, I know. Don't. Not yet. Jake, okay. Okay. Just fly. Slow motion. Narration. Her left hand, on the throttle. Her right hand, on the yoke. Her father's watch, in the bag directly behind her seat. Close enough to reach if she needed to. Jake Torres, 6 feet off her left wing. Same position. Same distance. He had flown that position 10,000 times. His hands knew exactly how to hold it. 231 people holding their breath. The runway, straight ahead, patient, growing slowly larger through the windscreen. She had done this before. More times than she could count. But never like this. Never with this much behind her and this much in front of her at the same time. She lined up. She came down. Gear, down. Confirmed. Flaps, set. The runway lights passing on both sides. The aircraft descends, steady, straight, no corrections needed. The wheels touch the runway. Smooth. Clean. One contact. Reverse thrust. Brakes. The big aircraft slowing, slowing, slowing. It stops. Complete silence. Then, Leila, 1 transmission. Leila, Denver Center. AA, 2247. On the ground. 231 souls. All safe. When I heard her say, all safe, I was already standing. I had been standing since the gap. When she said it, I sat down. And I cried. I am not someone who cries at work. I have been doing this for 27 years. I have handled 4 emergency landings. I have had hard days. I have had very hard days. I never cried. That day, when she said those words, 231 souls, all safe, I cried. First time. 27 years. First time. She came out of the cockpit. She walked to the overhead bin. She got her crutches out. She put them under her arms. Same as when she boarded. Exactly the same. Like nothing had happened. The whole cabin stood up. All 231 people. Nobody told them to. Nobody started it, it just happened. One person stood and then the next until everyone was standing. She looked at them. She did not smile right away. She just looked at them. Then she said, just loud enough for the front rows to hear, she said, thank you for being calm. You made it easier. That was all. And then she walked off the plane. On her crutches. Same walk as before. Same pace. She did not stop. She did not take any photos. She did not wait for anyone. She just walked off. When she walked past my row, I held up my F-16. My toy one. I held it up so she could see it. And she stopped. She actually stopped walking. She looked at the F-16 in my hand. Then she looked at me. She said, that is a good plane. I said, I know. It can do anything. And she smiled. A real smile. Not a polite smile, a real one. Like it came from somewhere deep and surprised her a little. Then she kept walking. I watched her go. My mom was crying next to me but I wasn't. I still have that F-16. It sits on my desk right now. I am never getting rid of it. Not ever. Narration. Jake Torres landed his F-16 at the adjacent military airstrip. He shut down the aircraft. He sat in the cockpit for a moment. He did not move. His co-pilot said nothing. His co-pilot was smart enough to say nothing. Then Jake climbed down. He walked across the tarmac in his full flight gear, helmet under his arm, toward the commercial terminal. She was standing by the bottom of the stairs. Crutches. Plain clothes. No makeup. One small bag. And her father's watch, now on her wrist. She had put it on in the cockpit, sometime during the landing. Nobody saw her do it. Jake stopped 6 feet away from her. The same 6 feet. Always the same 6 feet. He looked at her for a long time. She let him look. She did not look away. Jake, you should have told me you were alive. Leila, I know. Jake, 7 years, Hassan. Leila, I know. Jake, voice breaking only at the very end. Jake, don't do that again. Leila looks down at her father's watch. She turns it over in her fingers once. She looks back up. Leila, I won't. I think I am done disappearing. Pause, the longest pause in the whole script. Music CUE, soft, warm, not dramatic, just warm. Like a door opening after a long time. Like something coming home. I never got her name. I tried to find her in the terminal. I walked around for 20 minutes looking. She was already gone. I don't know where she went. I just know she was there and then she wasn't. I moved my arm off the armrest when she sat down next to me. That is the first thing I think about every morning now. A small thing. A stupid small thing. A woman boards on crutches and I move my arm. I think about what I assumed when I did that. I think about what those crutches actually meant, what was behind them, what she had been through to earn them. I don't move my arm anymore. Not for anyone. Not ever again. Final document reads. Pilot identification. Callsign, Iron Wing. Current status, civilian. Injuries sustained during this operation, none reported. Passenger outcome, 231 souls. All safe. Recommended commendation, declined by subject. Subject statement on record, I just needed to get home. Final narration. She boarded on crutches. She asked for nothing. She took the aisle seat so she would not have to look at the sky. She still ended up in it. Some people try to leave who they are behind. Pack it away. Board the plane without it. Tell no one. Start over. Disappear into a coffee shop and a quiet apartment and an ordinary life that nobody looks at twice. It boards anyway. It is always there. In the hands. In the muscle memory. In the part of you that stands up before you have even decided to stand up. The part that knows the alarm pattern the way you know your own heartbeat. The part that walks to the cockpit because someone has to and you are the someone. Iron Wing. One leg. 1,247 hours. 231 lives. One father's watch. One small boy's F-16. One wingman who never really left, not even when he thought she was gone. She asked them not to use her name. So we won't. We'll just say this. She boarded on crutches in seat 9C. She got off the same way. Everything in between, that was Iron Wing.